Nobody is above the law. On a quiet evening in Washington, D.C. in 1872, the sound of pounding hooves broke the calm. A horse-drawn carriage rushed down a narrow street, wheels rattling, horses straining. Pedestrians froze. Someone pulled a child back from the curb. In a city of dirt roads, gas lamps and crowded sidewalks, fast driving was no joke. It could be deadly. This moment unfolded near 13th and M Streets Northwest, just a few blocks from what is now the busy heart of modern Washington. Today, glass office buildings and traffic lights fill the area. Back then, the street was darker and rougher, lit by gas lamps, crowded with people on foot and dangerously exposed to speeding carriages. Into that street stepped a police officer. He raised his hand. Inside the carriage sat Ulysses S. Grant, the President of the United States. What followed was not just a strange historical footnote. It was a quiet test of democracy and a reminder that nobody is above the law. A nation still healing. America in 1872 was still becoming itself. The Civil War had ended only 7 years earlier. Slavery was gone, but its wounds remained open. The 14th Amendment, promising equal protection under the law, had been ratified just 4 years before. It was a powerful idea, but still fragile, still unevenly enforced. Washington, D.C. reflected that tension. Power and poverty lived side by side. Politicians, veterans, freed black families, and laborers all shared the same streets. Horse-drawn traffic filled the roads, and reckless drivers posed real danger. President Grant was known for his love of horses. From his days as a young officer to his time in the White House, he enjoyed driving fast teams. Sometimes he let them run. The officer in the street. The man who stopped the president that night was William H. West, a former Union soldier and a Metropolitan Police officer. William West was one of only about a dozen black officers, on a force of more than 200. For the time, Washington's police department was considered progressive. Even so, black officers faced constant pressure. Their authority was questioned. Their mistakes were remembered. Their safety was never guaranteed. West understood what his badge meant. To him, the law was not flexible. It was not personal. It was a duty. That first night, he stopped the carriage and issued a warning. He explained that fast driving endangered people and encouraged others to do the same. Grant listened. He apologized. The carriage rolled away. It could have ended there. The second night. But the very next evening, the sound returned. Hooves, speed, danger. Once again, the carriage rushed down the street near 13th and M. Once again, William West stepped forward. This time, there would be no warning. West knew exactly who he was stopping. He also knew how easy it would be to look the other way. Grant was not just any citizen. He was a war hero, a national figure, the most powerful man in the country. But West also knew the cost of inaction. Washington had seen too many people injured by furious driving, often children or elderly pedestrians. Looking the other way would not be kindness. It would be failure. Duty is duty. Grant pulled hard on the reins, struggling to slow the spirited horses. According to later accounts, he smiled, almost embarrassed, like someone caught breaking the rules. West spoke calmly and respectfully. "I am very sorry, Mr. President," he reportedly said. "I did not think you would violate the law a second time." Then he said the words that would define the moment. Duty is duty. This was not an arrest as we imagine it today. There were no handcuffs, no jail cell. In 1872, a charge of fast driving meant being escorted to the station house and posting a bond. Grant was taken to the station courteously and required to pay $20. At the time, that amount equaled roughly a full week's wages for many working Americans. It was not symbolic. It was a real penalty. The money served as collateral. Grant was expected to appear in court the following day. He paid the bond and was released. The next day, he did not appear in court. The money was forfeited. The law had spoken. A moment of mutual respect. What makes this story remarkable is not only what William West did, but how Grant responded. Grant did not argue. He did not pull rank. He did not demand special treatment. Historical accounts suggest that he later praised West, reportedly telling him that he admired his firmness and grit. That matters. In a nation still struggling to define equality, a black officer enforced the law fairly. A white president accepted it. The respect ran both ways. A look at the impact. To understand how powerful this moment really was, it helps to pause and consider who these two men were. William West was a former soldier turned police officer, one of very few black officers in the city. His job was dangerous. One wrong decision could have cost him his career or put his life at risk. Ulysses S. Grant had commanded entire armies. He had helped save the Union. In 1872, he was the sitting president of the United States. The distance between them was enormous. And yet, on that street, their roles were simple. One man was responsible for enforcing the law. The other was responsible for obeying it. West risked far more by doing his duty than Grant did by accepting it. But both men did what the law required. And because they did, the principle held. Courage without applause. William West never became famous. He didn't write speeches. He didn't publish memoirs. He didn't get a monument. His courage appeared in a quiet moment, on an ordinary street, when he chose fairness over fear. That kind of courage rarely earns applause, but democracy depends on it. West understood something essential. If the law bends for the powerful, it breaks for the powerless. By holding the line, he protected his community. By respecting the law, Grant strengthened it. Why this story still matters. For years, this story was passed down almost like a legend. Too perfect, too symbolic to be true. Then, in 1908, a newspaper interview with a retired William West confirmed it. The night was real. The stop was real. The bond was real. The principle was real. More than a century later, we still debate power and accountability. We still ask whether rules apply equally. We still struggle to balance authority with justice. This moment from 1872 gives us an answer. The law only works when it belongs to everyone. Not just the famous, not just the strong, everyone. On a dark street near 13th and M, a president learned that lesson. A police officer proved it, and history quietly remembered it. Nobody is above the law.
It's time to study new words in context. 1. Hoof. Definition. In context, this refers to the hard foot of a horse, especially when emphasizing the sound or movement of horses running. Example: the sound of hooves echoed through the street as the carriage sped past. 2. Rattling. Definition: making a rapid series of sharp noises, often caused by loose parts. Shaking as something moves quickly. Example: the carriage wheels came rattling down the road over the uneven stones. 3. Straining. Definition: using great physical effort, often to pull or move something heavy or difficult. Example: the horses were straining against the reins as they pulled the carriage forward. 4. Ratified. Definition: formally approved or made official, especially by a government or legal authority. Example: the amendment was ratified after months of debate and voting. 5. Teams. Definition: in this context, pairs or groups of horses working together to pull a carriage or wagon. Example: the driver controlled the teams of horses carefully through the crowded street. 6. Inaction. Definition: the failure to act or respond, especially when action is necessary or expected. Example: the officer believed that inaction would only lead to more danger. 7. Pedestrian. Definition: a person walking along a street rather than traveling in a vehicle. Example: Pedestrians stepped back quickly as the carriage passed too close. 8. Spirited. Definition: full of energy, strength, or enthusiasm. Often difficult to control. Example: the spirited horses reacted eagerly when given room to run. 9. Courteously. Definition: politely and with respect. Especially in formal or serious situations. Example: the officer courteously explained the reason for stopping the carriage. 10. Collateral. Definition: something valuable given as a guarantee that an obligation, such as appearing in court, will be fulfilled. Example: the money was held as collateral until the trial date. 11. Forfeited. Definition: lost or given up, as a penalty for failing to meet a requirement or obligation. Example: when he failed to appear in court, the bond was forfeited. 12. Pull rank. Definition: to use one's higher position or authority to avoid rules, or gain special treatment. Example: the president chose not to pull rank, and accepted the officer's decision. 13. Grit. Definition: strength of character, courage and determination in difficult situations. Example: the officer showed grit by enforcing the law despite the risks. 14. Accountability. Definition: the responsibility to answer for one's actions and accept consequences. Example: accountability is essential for maintaining trust in a democracy.
Comprehension questions. 1. Where and when does the story take place? Answer: the story takes place in Washington, D.C., in the year 1872 near 13th and M Streets Northwest. 2. What sound opens the story and why is it important? Answer: the sound of pounding hooves opens the story. It immediately creates tension and signals danger, drawing the reader into the scene. 3. Why was fast driving considered dangerous in 1872? Answer: streets were crowded with pedestrians, unpaved, and poorly lit. A fast-moving horse-drawn carriage could easily injure or kill someone. 4. Who was Ulysses S. Grant at the time of the incident? Answer: he was the sitting president of the United States and a former Union general who helped win the Civil War. 5. Who was William H. West? Answer: William H. West was a former Union soldier and a police officer in Washington, D.C., and one of only about a dozen black officers on the force. 6. Why was William West's position especially difficult or risky? Answer: as a black officer in the 1870s, his authority was often questioned, and one wrong decision could cost him his job or endanger his life. 7. What happened during the first encounter between West and Grant? Answer: West stopped Grant for fast driving and issued a warning. Grant apologized and drove away. 8. Why did William West stop Grant a second time? Answer: Grant was driving fast again the very next night, creating the same danger on the same street. 9. Why didn't West ignore the second offense? Answer: West believed that ignoring it would endanger the public and undermine the law. He felt duty required him to act. 10. What famous line did William West say to Grant? Answer: duty is duty. 11. Was Grant handcuffed or jailed? Answer: no. He was escorted to the station house and required to post a bond, which was the standard procedure at the time. 12. How much was the bond and why was it significant? Answer: the bond was $20, which was roughly equal to a full week's wages, for many workers, making it a serious penalty. 13. What happened when Grant failed to appear in court? Answer: he forfeited the $20 bond, meaning he lost the money. 14. How did Grant react to being stopped and fined? Answer: he accepted it calmly and reportedly later praised West for enforcing the law. 15. What does this moment show about Grant's character? Answer: it shows that he accepted responsibility and respected the rule of law, even when it applied to him. 16. What does this moment show about William West's character? Answer: it shows courage, fairness, and a strong commitment to justice, even when enforcing the law carried personal risk. 17. Why is this story important in the context of the 14th Amendment? Answer: the 14th Amendment promised equal protection under the law, and this incident showed that principle being practiced, not just written. 18. Why was this story once considered almost a legend? Answer: because it seemed too symbolic, a president being stopped by a black officer, to be true. 19. How was the story later confirmed? Answer: a 1908 newspaper interview with a retired William West confirmed the details of the incident. 20. What is the main theme of the story? Answer: nobody is above the law, and democracy depends on fair enforcement and shared responsibility.